Heated shenanigans, working stiffer than mannequins. Vader time like a mannequin. Mega powers, I'm savage and beat the babbling. Got him shook off the verbal acumen. I'm the main event, meaning nobody coming after him. The topics we be tackling, ankle locking and tapping them. I hate seafood, but I might throw the Boston crab on him. You know sometimes it gets heated. You know sometimes it gets heated.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back into Heated Shenanigans Podcast. I am your host, Scott, and returning to the podcast is one of my all-time favorite people, the amazing, one and only, true Queen of Extreme, Francine.
I'm going to go back and watch every episode that you've done and hear you say, one of my all-time favorite people to everybody that's on your show. But good to be back. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. When I tell you that, I mean it.
Okay, well, that's good to know. That's good to know, because there's no lying in wrestling.
No,
everybody's on the up and up and 100% truthful, and so
nobody surprises you with stuff you never discussed or talked about.
No, come on, no, we're all good here. Yeah.
Well, you have had an incredibly busy schedule, and you are fresh off of WrestleCon, right?
I am, yes. We had an amazing weekend. It was busy, but in a good way. And, WrestleCon for 3 days, plus a signing and a live show at the arena, ECW arena, 2300 arena. I don't like that name. I'll always call it the ECW arena. But it was really fun. And like Shane and I were talking about it after the live show ended, and it felt like ECW from like 1996. It was so nostalgic. And granted, we're not in our 20s and 30s anymore. We know that. So before anybody says anything, we all know that. But it was the crowd responded to everything. It was just a good time. It was great being with that core group again, because all of us in the same room doesn't happen a lot. And there were so many originals at this show, and it was so nice to see everyone, and just, I don't know, it was just great to work it. I'm so glad that I get to do this.
Something that ECW, it's different from, say, WCW, because you don't really have the diehards that are clamoring for a WCW reunion, where the ECW originals, the original ECW fans, everywhere you go, they still talk about it. They still want it. They still need that extreme fix.
It's true. And so many, I've said this before, like with Vince McMahon or WWE putting us on the network, and now I think, what is it, Peacock?
Yeah.
Running our old episodes, it brings in a new generation of fans, and you get little kids who weren't even born, who weren't even thought of when we were on top, coming up to the table. I loved your angle with Taz. I loved when you and Beulah fought. I love this. I love that. And I'm just blown away because, dude, you're 10 years old. Like, you're not supposed to know this stuff, but it's great for us because it gives us like, new life in the business, so to speak. We have our diehard fans, but we also have a new generation of fans that have been watching, now they can watch it from the beginning, whether it's on Peacock or YouTube. And a lot of people keep saying, like, these storylines hold up today. And you could do all of these storylines in 2024 because they're relevant, and it's nice to be able to talk to, a little kid or a 70-year-old man who loved it when he would come in the 90s. Like, it just blows my mind. People, like you said, they're still interested. They still watch the product. They still want to meet us. And if they want to meet us, we're going to come. So,
Well, and all the signings that Shane, you and I have done together, we've had teenagers, like you said, come up. And I I look at him, I'm like, now I know good and well you were not around for the ECW run.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like it kind of breathes new life into us with the Peacock stuff, and then just putting it on YouTube, and then with WrestleMania, and of course it's Philly, so they did the whole ECW thing, and it makes me proud that I am an original, because not many people can say that, and there's so many guys that always tell me, I wish I got the chance to work for ECW because you guys were so cool, and all this stuff. And I'm like, it was a great place to work, despite the end when we didn't get paid. And I get that sucked, but overall, like, I wouldn't change a thing, because the camaraderie that I have with these guys 30 years later, that we're still making towns together, we're still best friends, we're still on the road and having a good time, and getting to do something we love. That's very rare. Not many people can do that. So I'm blessed in the sense I have good people who I can trust to travel and work with, and we have a great time together. We're getting paid to be with our friends, which is a brilliant concept. I wish more people can do it, but obviously you can't. So we are very, very lucky to be in the position that we're in.
Speaking of getting to pay to be with friends, I wanted to talk about it was a harmless rib that Shane had got on you at Squared Circle Expo. You remember the one I'm talking about?
Yeah, and I and I realized it halfway over. Okay, for those who don't know, when we walked in the hotel bar. Okay, bunch of us. We had this very long table. We were all sitting there. People are having cocktails. People are eating food, whatever. When we first walked in, I looked at that man and I said to myself, oh, he looks like Scott Armstrong. But I knew that it wasn't him. But something in my head, when he said it, I said to myself, was that Scott Armstrong? Was I wrong in thinking it wasn't? So the rib was, Shane goes, oh, did you go say hi to Scott Armstrong, or did you see Scott Armstrong? I said, I didn't. And I jump up, and as I'm halfway there, I go, that's not Scott Armstrong. I know it's not. But I continued my journey because I knew it would pop you guys. And so I went up to the man and I just said, hey, I'm Francine. How you doing? And he goes, hi, Francine. I'm whoever. I don't know what his name was. And he shook my hand, and I think he thinks I was trying to pick him up or something. It was an older gentleman. He was having a drink by himself. He wasn't bothering anyone. And then I was just like, okay, bud. I tapped him on the back and I walked back to the table. Did you not laugh?
Oh my God, hysterically.
Hysterical. You wouldn't have laughed as hard if I would have turned my ass around and walked back to the table and not confronted the man. So I said, I'm just going to do it. And I did.
The other part of that, I don't know if you had caught, Shane had been cooking this up, I think, since we sat down, because he was looking around and he's staring this guy down like he's eating his cauliflower wings, and he starts to do one of these numbers. And that's when he told you, it's Scott Armstrong over there.
Yeah.
You had not turned around, and Shane is giggling like a schoolgirl. That's not Scott Armstrong.
I knew it was. Well, that's the thing. Well, like I said, when we walked in, he resembled him. Like, if you looked at him really quickly, it looked like Scott. And in my mind, that's the first thing I said when we walked into that bar. I said, oh my God, that guy looks like Scott Armstrong. But then I said to myself, well, he's not talking to the boys. That can't be him. Like, the boys wouldn't walk by and ignore him because he's one of the boys, right? Then when I sat down and Shane said that, I said, was it him? And I just missed something. And in mid-walk, I'm staring at this man's face. I'm like, that's not him. I know it's not him, but I'm still going to go and say hello. I don't care. So you tried to flip me, but it didn't work because I just made it a big joke, and that was that.
Have you ever got Shane on the road with a rib?
Oh, he's ribbed me a million times, like because he's a child, a lovable child, but he's a child. And did I tell this on the last show? Like, when we had the Requiem for a Pit Bull with Gary Wolf, we were banned from the shows. Me and him, we weren't allowed to be at the shows because Shane broke his neck, and everybody hated us, and we had all this heat on us. And They had, it was right at the ECW arena. They were having a show called A Requiem for a Pitbull. And Paul says, you have to come in the building, but you have to get like smuggled in. Like we have to secretly get you in so none of the fans see you, because the fans, if you know anything about the ECW arena, they would like tailgate and they would be there early in the morning and, you know, drinking their beer and whatever they're eating or smoking or whatever they're doing. So we weren't allowed to be seen. There was a restaurant that we used to go to that maybe was, I don't know, 6 or 8 blocks away from the building. So Shane and I decided to go to this restaurant. And when we were heading towards the arena, he says, we have to get in the trunk of the car. And I said, why? And he said, because they can't see, no one can see us get in the building. I said, let's go in the back seat and just like, you know, hide, put an Afghan over us or something. He's no, we have to get in the trunk. So I'm like, really? Well, he makes me get in the trunk. I made him get in first because I said, if I get in and he shuts the, you know, I'm going to be pissed off, right? He got in. I get in after him. So we're like, you know, in the fetal position. His head's here. My head's here. His ass is here. He starts farting. Well, maybe 8 blocks isn't a lot for some people, but when you're in a car with someone who has gas, it's disgusting. And I just go, you suck. That's all I said. And I'm trying to hold my breath. It was the longest ride of my life. I couldn't wait to get out of that trunk of the car. But obviously, we could have just hid in the back seat. He thought it would be funny if we went in the trunk of the car. But he would do stupid stuff all the time to me. And he'd get me every time. And I'm just like, oh, you know. But for me to get him, like, there were a couple times now, because I don't fall for much with him anymore because I know him too well, right? But there's a couple of times where I would call and I'd be like, oh, I'm not coming this weekend. I don't feel good. And he'd say, what are you talking about? You're in the car. I just don't feel good. I missed my flight and blah, blah, blah. And I think I might've got him once or twice on that, but you know, he's the champ at that because he's gotten me more times than I can remember.
He's gotten me at least 5 times.
It's nothing brutal. It's childish, like something you could laugh at later. But when it's happening, you're just like, ugh. Why are you 12 years old still in the body of a 60-year-old man? Why? Come on.
Like, and normally when we do our signings together, we do have another member of the group, Ned Rolsma, How I Met Your Mother star Ned Rolsma.
Yes, Ned's been around.
How did you end up meeting Ned? I've always wondered the connection.
So I believe Shane, they're from Pittsburgh, both of them. I believe Shane met Ned in a supermarket. I think they were at the same store. And I think Ned's a self-proclaimed super fan of ECW. And he's always he says he loved us both, but I know he adores Shane to no end. And I think he approached him in the store, in the supermarket. Now with me, Shane took Ned on the road to one of our signings in New York. And there's this dude, he was 7 feet tall. And I just walked. I didn't know who he was because I didn't watch How I Met Your Mother, really. I didn't watch, I wasn't privy to him being on the show. But Shane had talked about this guy, but I don't think he told me he was on the road that weekend. So I walk into the store and I walk right by this dude who's like 12 feet tall. And I'm like, okay. And Shane made him say something to me to rib me. And I was I was like, and I can't remember what it was. I wish I could. I don't remember what it was. I think he held up an action figure that wasn't me and told me I've looked better or something like that. And it was somebody else. Shane put him up to it, obviously. And I was like, okay, who are you? And, I laughed and I sat down. And then Shane was like, did you meet Ned? I was like, that's Ned. Because I said, he just ribbed me and I just got hot at him. So that's how I met Ned. And then he's just been on the road with us, ever since. If he can make the shots, if Shane's driving, he comes and hangs out. So, and I love Ned. I love Ned.
He's a great guy. I love Ned.
He's awesome. He's helpful. he's respectful and funny, and he's just a good dude. So he's a welcome addition to our little crew.
You know, just kind of like fantasy booking here. If he was in ECW, what do you think his role would have been?
I mean, he's huge, so we would have to have used him like we did Al, like 911-ish. Just destroy everyone, because he's legit 7 feet tall. Like when we're in hotels, he literally has to duck because some of the ceilings are too low and he can't get under the landings, and he has to duck. He's a giant. So
and charismatic. Tall. My God, is he charismatic?
He's funny. He's a really, really nice guy. I've become friends with him, since he's been on the road with us, and him and Shane are incredibly close, and he's just fun. He's fun to hang out with.
Well, we'll answer about the midway point here. We'll answer a couple of fan questions I had submitted here.
Sure.
They were screened, so we're good.
Perfect.
The first one up here is, what, if any, challenges where they're going from managing a tag team in the Pitbulls to managing Shane Douglas?
I feel like it was an easier transition to work with one person instead of working with two. Reasoning, did you ever hear the expression, too many cooks in the kitchen? So sometimes people would be going over a match, and instead of 2 guys, there'd be 4. And everybody's throwing ideas, and one person wants me to do this, and the other person's like, no, don't do that. You have to do this, and blah, blah, blah. So sometimes it would get a little chaotic because you had a lot of guys involved. And I understand. I mean, tag team wrestling, I get it. But for me, it was just always easier to just bounce things off of one person than 2, because you had to get the approval of 2 people. And then when the match came, you had to get the approval of 4 people. And that's kind of hard to do sometimes because not everybody agrees. You know what I mean? I loved working, with everyone. But I feel like just working with a singles guy, it's just a little easier. Communication's easier. Just overall easier to work with.
Well, that's a pretty good answer to that question. This one, and you, me, Sandman, and Dan talked about this at a restaurant right after a signing.
Okay.
And I thought it was ironic this got brought up. Did WWE and Vince McMahon always own ECW?
Was that when we were eating fried pickles?
Yeah.
Love
you remember the important part of the story.
I do. So the exact question again, WWE and Vince McMahon
always owned ECW.
No, I don't believe so. Now listen, there are a lot of parts to this equation that I'm not privy to. For me, there's still not closure with everything that happened. I have heard so many different stories about, what Paul did and why Todd Gordon was kicked out, and who Paul wanted to sell the company to, and why didn't Paul sell the company, and where was the money, and blah, blah, blah. The only thing that I think is 100% true that I am aware of is when we were doing our pay-per-views, and we had 21 pay-per-views, I was on every single pay-per-view. Okay. When we would do the pay-per-views, I think it cost $250,000 to produce the one pay-per-view. And I'm pretty sure we were getting that money on loan from Vince. So the part I don't know is, was Paul paying Vince back? Was there some kind of an underground trade that we weren't sure? Because there were we would get Al Snow would come to us on loan. He was still a WWF guy, but he worked for us for quite a while. And then he went, we knew he was going to go back. We didn't know when. There were things that were going on that was kind of okay, why is this happening? But I never questioned anything because why should I? At that point, I was still getting paid. I was getting pushed. I was working every weekend. I'm keeping my mouth shut. I don't care what's going on. As long as I have a job, like, who cares?
I think the thing that fuels this, and I've heard this for years, this theory, this conspiracy, is how good WWE was promoting ECW when they'd come on Raw and they would send the talent down there. A lot of people thought, like, oh, they've got to be partners because he's not doing this with WCW and Bischoff. Vince would have tried to put Eric Bischoff out with gasoline if he was on fire.
Yeah. Well, you have to think of it this way too. Like, Eastern Championship Wrestling had been around since, like, I think early 92. And that was started by Todd Gordon. Okay. Todd started this whole thing. Paulie took it over and made it extreme. And that's when Todd kind of got out of the picture. I don't believe that Vince had anything to do with the earlier years, but I was told once we got on pay-per-view, that's when the money started coming in from them, and the guys going back and forth and the promotion and this and that. And I mean, I could be wrong. I'm still, 30 years later, I'm still as confused as everybody else, because we never got closure, 100% closure. So I don't really know what went on behind the scenes. Like, I'm not really sure,
So the last day of operation for ECW, Paul came out and was like, oh, this is it.
He wasn't there. He didn't come that weekend. That was the last show we did, was Pine Bluff, Arkansas. I'll never forget it. We were all in the back. It was a house show. And we were just like all really upset because we all knew Paul didn't show up. And we were like, that's it. We're done. We're done. And I remember sitting there and I was crying. I was literally crying. And Sandman called me over and I walk up to him and he goes, don't worry. I bought a bar. You're going to work for me. You have a job. I'm like, okay. And he did. He bought a bar near where I was living in Delaware. He bought a bar in Delaware and hired me as a beer tub girl, which I never did. I was there 2 nights and it didn't work out for whatever reason. Now he doesn't even have that bar anymore. But that was where everybody's mindset was, what are we going to do? Who's making calls to this guy? Who wants to work with this guy? Me, I didn't really have connections with WCW or WWF at the time. WWF tried to get me to go there in 95 and I said no. So I'm like, okay, did I burn my bridge there? But I never really wanted to work anywhere else. So I didn't start on the indies. I went right into ECW. So now I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to get an indie run. And that's exactly what I did. And just when we went out of business, the phone just kept ringing and we were working indies every single weekend and making tons of money, just ridiculous amounts of money, because we were just off TV. ECW was hot. And I did indies from 2001 to 2006. And then I got hired for the fake ECW, which was a disaster in itself. So anyway, to answer your question, I didn't know what was going on. And quite frankly, I didn't really care until the end. And that's when I was like, what the hell's going on? Because no one knows. So
the next question, this is a really good one. I was really happy with these.
Okay.
What is your favorite piece of memorabilia from your career that you do not own?
That I do not own? Like something I sold already, or
sold, maybe you lost, left it at a show?
Oh, wow. I don't know. I mean, I've had, that I don't own. That's a hard question, because I've had like so many things, because when we went bankrupt, eBay was my best friend, and I just went like crazy and just was like, buy it, selling this, get rid of this. Maybe, okay, I think it was, because actually I sold this twice, the same item twice. Back in the day, you had to work for ECW or you didn't get one. It was a are they called bomber jackets or baseball jacket?
Yeah.
Very heavy winter, right? The arms were leather, and then this was red and the arms were black, and we all had our names stitched into it with the ECW logo and ECW on the back. I actually loved that jacket so much. Really loved it. We went out of business and somebody contacted me and was like, I'll give you whatever for the jacket. So I was just like, okay. So I sold this man my jacket. Years later, he contacts me. Listen, I'm not, I'm not into wrestling anymore. No offense, but I'm getting rid of all my memorabilia. Do you want your jacket back? And I go, sure. Right. So I get the jacket back, and then I sold it for double what I sold them. But I wish I would have kept that because I love that. I don't know why I sold it twice, but because I got a lot of money for it. But I will say I wanted an ECW jacket for the longest time. And when we were at WrestleCon, Brian Myers, who I adore, had an ECW jacket on. And kidding around, I said to him, I really like that jacket. I want it. And he took it off and he gave it to me. So now I have an ECW jacket. So Brian Myers, thank you so much. And I love you.
Then
I have my ECW jacket. It's not the same one, but it's still, it's cute and I love it. So
that's a good story. I didn't know about the jacket.
Yeah, the bomber jacket. Yeah, it had the round logo, the ECW, the white letters with the black and the red. And then it was completely red with black leather arms, and then all of our names were stitched into it. And yeah, you only got it if you worked there. If you were
What year was that? You remember?
90, I don't know, 97, 98, something like that. We all got them. The whole locker room got them.
There's a lot of big names that got those jackets.
Yeah. We all and I to this day I'm like, man, I should have never sold it. I really shouldn't have. But now I have one upstairs and I'm not selling that one because I just wanted a jacket and I have one and I love it. So I'm going to keep that one and wear it.
It's something I definitely wanted to get. This is a good point to throw this in here to promote. We've been working together for a couple years now, and we have another signing. Well, a different variety coming up. On Saturday, June 29th in Lafayette, Indiana, we're going to be hosting Every Child Wins, a benefit show for the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation and Muscular Dystrophy. And this event is headlined by some of the all-time greats of ECW. Obviously, the Queen of Extreme herself, the franchise Shane Douglas, the Sandman, and Bill Alfonso, along with some of the absolute top talent in independent wrestling. And tickets are available for that going on right now. Information can be found on Heated Shenanigans Podcast Facebook page. And for the wrestlers out there, take advantage of this incredibly, you could say extremely rare opportunity to have a seminar with Shane Douglas and the Queen of Extreme, Francine. Time will be from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m., $50 a person. Minimum of 20 participants for this to take place. So book your spot now so you do not miss out on this incredible opportunity to learn the basics, the advanced metrics, anything you could think of in professional wrestling from two of the all-time greats that have been there and succeeded at the highest level.
True. Sounds good to me. I'll be there.
And this show is so incredibly important to me because I have two people that are on the back end of muscular dystrophy. I'm going to lose them within the next couple of years. And the foundation behind this show, my co-host lost his niece at 16 to juvenile diabetes.
Oh, it's terrible.
And we wanted to use our platform to help others. We can't do anything about the situation that our friends and family are in. However, if we can give a family 5 more minutes together with the money raised from the show, then that is worth everything for us. And I want to publicly thank you for being a part of this show. This is our first show doing this, and it was not by mistake that I wanted you guys to be a part of that first show.
Oh, well, we appreciate it. And like I told you before, we'll do anything for you to help promote it and get the word out about it. And we want to pack that house. So if you're in the area and you're listening to this, hit up Scott, get those tickets and support a great cause.
Absolutely. And then we got quite a bit lined up. And one of the guys on the event is going to be the Sandman doing an autograph signing and some meet and greet action.
Yeah.
And we've all got Sandman stories. And I just, having worked with him a handful of times, I can't say enough nice things about that man. He is truly a remarkable human being.
He is one of my ride or dies to this day. Just a really good friend. When him and I get together, all we do is laugh. Because we travel a lot together because we kind of live close by. So if we can get an opportunity to drive to a show, like we drove to Springfield, Massachusetts, and that was a long drive, and I wouldn't have did it without him. And he's like, no, I'll come pick you up and we'll go and blah blah blah. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm telling you, from the moment I got in the car, it didn't even seem like a long drive because we just yap and laugh and tell jokes and stories, and it makes the time just fly by. And it's such it's so fun. Again, I'm going back to what I said before, but it's just so fun to be able to travel with people that you love and have a good time with. And it just makes the job that much easier to do. You know what I mean? So it's amazing.
Let's say one of my favorite moments with you and Sandman was probably at that hotel bar in Wisconsin after that plane ride with the Marine that was on your flight.
Oh my God. I don't think I ever told that story even on my channel. Should I tell it now?
Oh, please do. This is a great
yeah.
story.
So this is hilarious. We're on this flight to Milwaukee, right?
Yes.
Was it Milwaukee? Yes. And we're in the back of the plane. And they keep saying it's a full flight, blah, 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 whatever. So it seemed like there were like 2 seats left. One was the middle seat between me and Hack or Sandman. And there was a middle seat. We were in the second to last row. And we're like, oh, yes, they're not getting on. These seats are going to be ours, blah, blah, blah. Well, no, they weren't, because this couple gets on. And let's just say the man was larger in stature than his wife. So I'm saying to myself, please let the wife sit here. Please let. No, the wife goes in the back. And plus the man had a puffy jacket on. Remember Seinfeld in his puffy shirt? This guy had a puffer jacket on. So he looked twice as big as he really was. And he's like, oh, I'm in the middle. And I was like, shoot. All right. So he literally squeezes between us. I'm against the wall, like smushed against the wall. I'm reading a book. He pulled out his phone. Then he pulls out his laptop. And he was a nice guy. Don't get me wrong. Very, very nice. He had like a bag of chips. He's like, would you like some chips? I'm like, no. Like, I don't. You already put your hand in several times. I don't know where your hand's been, sir. I don't know you like that. But he was very nice, right? So him and Hack start bonding over sports because I don't know what game was on, and they're talking. I'm just reading my book. The next thing I know, a phone goes in my face, and it's the man, but it's Hack's phone, and it's me on YouTube. And I think it was like, it was when I turned on the pit bull. So I'm taking off my skirt, and my ass says franchise on. I'm bending over, and he goes, "That's you? Oh my God, that's you! We have a celebrity on the plane." And he literally stands up and starts doing this with the phone. And now we were like, getting ready to land it, but before we landed, he just, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, and he's just going on and EC-dub, and screaming like loud. He turns to his wife. Do you know who they are? She's like, She didn't care. And he keeps going, do you know who she is? And she's like, no. She's like ready to fight me. And I'm just like, lady, it's fine. Calm down, And I literally, I'm not exaggerating. For 20 minutes, he talked about it until we landed. Then he stands up with the phone and he's showing people on YouTube, this is her, this is what she did. And Sandman is just cracking up. And then he leans over and he says, I heard about your situation. Sandman goes and tells him all my medical problems that I'm having. And he goes, my wife's going through the same thing. This is before we were still in the air at this point. And I'm going, are you kidding me right now? Hack's just laughing his ass off. I'm just like, oh my God. And he's like, yeah, my wife can't go to the bathroom and she can't do this and she can't do that. I'm just like, good Lord. Why don't you give him my social security number, my street address while you're at it? But yeah, man stood up. So anyway, very nice man. Sandman proceeds to tell him what hotel we're staying at. Why? I don't know. I guess they were going to try and hook up later. I don't know what the hell that was. But we did our signing and we're all in the hotel restaurant. And I'm telling the story. Who walks in but the man? The guy came to the friggin' hotel and he got a room there. He got a room there because we were there. How crazy is that?
I view it as don't underestimate your draw power because you not only sold a ticket to that show, but a hotel room to that hotel.
Yeah, they should have gave me something for getting him to get a room there. I was like, my mind was blown, but then I told Hack all night, I go, are you proud of yourself? What are you doing? Why don't you invite the whole world over next time? Like, we didn't really think the guy would come to the hotel. Oh, here he comes walking in. They were taking pictures with him. He's hanging out. He's talking shop. I mean, very nice man, but it was just a weird situation because I was literally just telling the table the story. And within like 30 seconds, he comes walking in the door. Remember, I go, oh my God, did he hear me? Did he hear me talk about
Sandman? Because your back was to where he was coming in.
Yes.
Sandman grabs me by the shoulder. He's like, kid, it's him.
He's here. So crazy. That was so friggin' crazy. I'm telling you, that was one of the weirdest things ever.
Then the odds of that happening.
I mean, he needed a hotel room. Why wouldn't he come and hang out with us?
He knew where to go.
I love that his wife was nowhere to be found. She was like, I'm staying in the room. I'm not coming with you. It's fine.
But everybody was kind to him. He got pictures with everybody. I think you guys signed some stuff for him. But he's going to remember that the rest of his life.
And bless his heart, he was the sweetest man ever. But it was just a weird, like, it was embarrassing for me because the clip that friggin' Hack picked was the one where I'm taking my skirt off and then he's literally showing the stewardess, the person in front of us, the guy next to her, and they're all kind of looking at me and I'm kind of like sitting, I had a baseball cap, I pulled my cap down, I'm like, oh, this is not happening right now, like, please stop. And the wife was like, and I was like, okay. Let's move on.
It's like, I'm happily married, I don't want your husband.
It wasn't, but it was just, it was so bizarre. And then he showed up and it was just like, wow. He rose from the ashes and there he was. So friggin' weird.
Well, guys, before we go and wrap this episode up, I definitely want to take a brief moment to let you guys know the Queen of Extreme has her own podcast on YouTube and on iHeartRadio. Go over and subscribe. And if you've been paying attention to the ticker at the bottom, you will see that we are instructing you on every episode to go over and subscribe to the Queen of Extreme Francine's Eyes Up Here podcast, and definitely make sure to listen to it on iHeartRadio. Any other channels or panels or whatever you have that you're on that we're not promoting?
Well, the podcast is on all platforms, not just iHeart. So you could go to Spotify, you could go to Apple, you can, wherever you get your podcast, we are located. So it's Eyes Up Here with Francine, because there is another Eyes Up Here. That girl hasn't posted for 2 years. So I wish they would just take her down already. Beat it, sister. But if you type in Eyes Up Here with Francine, I'll come up. And we just started TikTok because I was told all the kids are doing it these days. So I don't even know what the handle is on there. But if you go to my Twitter and IG are at ECW Diva Francine. If you go to my Twitter, you'll find all the handles for everything, because I just posted yesterday because I don't know them by heart. But yeah, TikTok, I'm supposed to be funny, so now I have to record funny things for TikTok. I'm just like, what is my life right now? Like, I don't know. So I'm trying the TikTok thing, but we also have a Facebook page. I think if you just type in my name, it'll probably pop up, like Francine Eyes Up Here podcast or something. I don't know. Just find me everywhere.
And for those of you listening that have not yet accepted my invite to like that page, shame on you. This is your reminder to accept that invite.
Yes. I need to build up socials. So that's why we did the Facebook and the TikTok. So we'll see. We'll give it a go. I don't know.
I think you'll like TikTok after a while. It kind of grew on me.
Yeah. What do you post?
Interviews. Like,
oh, interviews. Okay.
Oh yeah, this will be chopped up. We're gonna have this on TikTok.
Okay. Well, I was told I need to be like quirky on TikTok. So I'm telling all, like, we're pulling like archived stuff now, but I'm trying to record like funny things. I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, who knows?
You're a pretty funny person, I would say.
Am, but then when you have to plan stuff, it's like I'm funny, sporadically funny. Like I am witty and clever, and I have good comebacks. But then I sit here with a pad and pencil in my hand, and I'm just like, what the hell am I going to do on TikTok? Like, do I have to dance? Because that's what all the young kids, they're doing, you know, the side-by-side dances. Is that what I need? Well, how's that going to help my podcast? I don't really know. I don't know.
There's a lot of trendy songs on TikTok. The Boots song is everywhere now.
I don't even know what that is.
It's like, I see so many people, like, they're kicking their feet and smacking their thighs. Like, it's a simple dance. I have no rhythm at all. I could do that.
Like a worker smack their thigh?
Yeah, like the thigh slap.
Like, I listen to 80s music every single day, so I don't know anything current. I'm not lying. I don't know anything that's current these days, music trends. I couldn't even tell you. I listen to the 80s on 8 on Sirius XM radio. That's all I listen to.
Let's say if you, Sandman, and Shane could do like a 3-person like video for TikTok, I think would do great.
Well, we probably could do something when we're all together.
Yeah, when you're all together.
Yeah. But I'm just trying to, like, I know what the trends are, and I'm like, I don't do this crap. Like, why am I even on here? Like, is anybody going to care? Are your interviews drawing numbers for you?
The Kurt Angle one did about 69,000 views.
No, on TikTok.
Yeah, that was on TikTok.
Oh, that was on TikTok. Okay. Well, maybe we'll try that route. I don't know. I just
it's really dependent on what time you put stuff up is what I found out. Like 1, 2 in the afternoon, kind of the hot spot to get stuff online.
Oh.
I don't know. Like, and you'll start to grow people very quickly on their following, especially don't overdo it with the hashtag. Some people do like 40 hashtags. They're not going to push that. Like,
I don't even have 40 hashtags. Come on. I got like 3. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just trying to concentrate on the podcast and on YouTube right now. Those are my 2 babies. So we, now we're over 10,000 on YouTube, which is great. Next goal is obviously 20,000. Slow climb, but we'll get there eventually. But we've interviewed such great people in the last month. We had Perry Saturn. We had Scotty Riggs. We had Devon Dudley. And I got so many people that are coming on within this next month that I can't say yet because they're good. They're really good and have a lot of great stories to tell. So just if you haven't checked it out, please do.
Oh, absolutely, guys. You're going to be doing yourself a favor going over to Eyes Up Here with Francine on YouTube and on iHeartRadio. And as we wind down here, I want to thank you again, Francine, for taking time from your schedule to join me for round 2 on Heated Shenanigans podcast.
It was my pleasure. This was quicker than I thought it was going to be. So excellent.
I appreciate that.
Very quick, Scott. And I'm looking forward to the end of June.
I mean, this June 29th, off in Indiana.
Every child wins. We're looking forward to it. Again, if you're in the area, come on out and see us. You won't be disappointed. It's a good time for a good cause. And, you know, if you're trying to get into the business or in the business and you want to hang out with Shane and I for an afternoon and learn some things, sign up for the seminar. We've never done one together. So this is really rare. And I don't know if we'll ever do another one. We probably will down the line, but maybe not. Maybe not in this area. This is probably.
No, we're going to sell this. This is a once in a lifetime deal,
Okay.
guys. Now or never.
Well, for this area, yes, this is the only chance you will ever get to be with Shane and I. But it's a good opportunity if you want to be a wrestler, if you want to be a manager, if you want to be even a referee. I mean, because both Shane and I have reffed matches too. So there's a lot of knowledge, mostly from Shane, but I know a couple things as well. So I would love for you to sign up and you know, take advantage of it.
Absolutely, guys. Well, that's going to do it here for this episode of Heated Shenanigans Podcast. We want to thank you guys for watching and listening. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Really helps us out here. And we will see you guys on